Yes, there are major opportunities here, whichever way you look at it. What the e-highway project has shown is that the grid that we're going to have in Europe for transmitting electricity by the year 2030 will not be the grid that we need for the year 2050 to deliver the EU's ambitious 2050 goals on energy security and emissions. So significant further investments are going to be needed. Of course, this presents challenges, but it also presents huge opportunities. And the really good news is that however you look at this, yes, we have to invest money up front, but the economic benefits under all of the scenarios show that these investments more than pay off in the long term. Let me give you some figures. So under one scenario where we have a lot of renewables, but also a lot of distributed generation, and perhaps the investment needs in the grid are less, we invest 11 billion euros per annum, but the net economic benefits of doing that are 14 billion euros per annum by 2050. Then under a different scenario where you've got 100% renewables by 2050, the figures are even more striking. We invest every year 20 billion euros in the transmission network, but we stand to gain net economic benefits up to 55 billion euros by 2050. Now, another thing that's interesting here is not only is there always a net economic gain of making these investments, but the more we invest, the greater the gain. So if we double the investment in the grid infrastructure, we actually triple the net economic benefit. So yes, there are major opportunities here and we must do it. Look, there are no drawbacks long term. As I've just explained, this is win-win economically. Whichever way you look at it, under any of the 5 scenarios that the e-highway project has worked with, there is a net economic gain to making these investments in the transmission network. Of course, there are risks involved because this is going to involve large infrastructure investments, and all such investments carry risk. Commercial risk, sometimes technology risk, construction risk. Okay, the technology is there largely. Okay, there's still some developments on parts of HVDC and so on, but by and large the technology is there. There are challenges around the permitting. Of course, these are very large public infrastructure projects, and of course the numbers involved are high. We need to attract a lot of finance, a lot of capital, which won't be straightforward. I guess best way to look at it is put yourself in the shoes of a transmission system operator, a TSO. He's got to invest a lot of money up front. These are 10-year projects, okay? From final investment decision to commissioning of a project, it can be up to 10 years. There's a lot of work has to be done on the permitting and the project development and mobilizing the finance. There's a lot of risk that the TSO has to carry over that long period. But as I say, the economic benefits long term will always be there. Okay, I'd say 3 things essentially. We need a more coordinated approach to project planning and project design. There needs to be as much coordination as possible between different TSOs. So the 41 TSOs that make up ENTSO-E really need to be coordinating their investments here. They're already doing that, of course, for the period up to 2030 under the 10-year network development plan. They need to do even more of that beyond 2030. So coordination of planning is the first thing that is key. Then we need to provide as much investor certainty and stability as we possibly can. That means giving visibility up front to investors about what the policy and regulatory framework is going to be that is underpinning these long-term investments. And then we need to be smart about how we mobilize and deploy public spending in this. The EU has tools at its disposal. The structural and cohesion funds, the new EFSI, the famous Juncker infrastructure investment plan. Of course, that's a plan for the next 5 to 10 years, and there will be different such plans for the longer term. But EU funds will need to be mobilised, but mobilised in such a way that they leverage and incentivise larger amounts of private investment.